November the 23rd, 1989, and possibly the most influential British guitar band of the last 20 years were making their debut on Top of the Pops. The group were Manchester's The Stone Roses.
Musically, they could have been bigger than the Beatles, you know, because they had it.
Having just released one of the most acclaimed debut albums of all time, they had the world at their feet.
They was fresh, they was real, and the music that he was doing was just brilliant.
But then it all went horribly wrong. Within a few short years, the Stone Roses had split.
I don't like the way it ended. It was all messy and in the business of making music, not in the business of fucking ruining friendships.
Who was to blame for the Stone Roses' downfall? Some accused their manager, Gareth Evans.
I gave that band 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did it for that band.
He's a salesman, but, you know, a rather nasty, cheap salesman.
I'm a fucking good manager. I'm a genius. I'm the best.
This is the inside story of how a band on the verge of greatness saw their world fall apart, their career destroyed by bad business deals and multi-million-pound lawsuits.
People ask me, why take them to court? Why the aggravation? I wanted my money.
The guy's got no morals whatsoever. But, yeah, one day it's going to come back and bite him on the arse hard. I can't wait to piss in his grave.
For years before their legendary appearance on Top of the Pops, the Stone Roses were still a million miles away from success. Suffering from an image problem and hated by most of Manchester, the band had hit rock bottom. Rhythm guitarist with the Stone Roses then was Andy Cousins.
We'd been blacklisted by, it felt like the whole of Manchester was pushing us out, you know, City Life, who were the local rifle factory, everybody, we couldn't get any gigs anywhere, it was just a nightmare.
The Roses' number one enemy was Manchester's Factory Records, the brainchild of local impresario Tony Wilson and home to such bands as the painfully cool Joy Division.
Tony Wilson hated us. He actively tried to stop us doing anything. You know, every corner we turned, we felt like he was there shutting the door. You know, but we wanted nothing to do with them at all.
All the people that worked for Factory were fucking squares. You know, they had the grey overcoat mob banging on in coffee bars about poetry. You know, and going to see films with subtitles. Very fucking dodgy people.
How does it feel to treat me like you do?
But if Manchester hated the Stone Roses, the feeling was mutual.
The music scene, we were always separate from. We actively made sure that we were separate from it. I mean, our first gig, it wasn't by any accident that it was in London, it was by design. We didn't want to play, we didn't want to be associated with Manchester at all. It was a horrible place.
To show their contempt for their hometown, the Stone Roses took to the streets.
We went out and sprayed Manchester's monuments. I think we were barred for life at that point from the likes of City Life, and there was absolute uproar all over Manchester, but yeah, it was very funny.
One person who definitely didn't see the funny side was the Roses' first manager, Howard Jones.
I thought it was disgraceful, but I understood their reasons for doing it. They were trying to say to Manchester, the Tony Wilsons of this world, F you, mate, you know, people are going to know we're here.
But the message wasn't getting through. In 1985, the Stone Roses unleashed their first single on an unsuspecting public. It was met with disastrous reviews.
With hindsight, none of us were happy with the way it came out at all. At the time, I think we were probably excited by it, but later on you listen and think...
By now, Howard Jones's other role as head of the band's label, Thin Line, had become a major bone of contention.
could never quite tell where his interests were, you know. And then when you start to realise that he's got 20% of the record sales as a manager and 20% from Thin Line, and that started feeling a little dirty.
Jones was given a stark choice: his label or the group.
And I made the decision that Thin Line was more important than managing the Stone Roses, which I still stand by.
With no gigs, no manager and no record deal, the Stone Roses were in a rut. What they needed was help, and fast.
They seek him here, they seek him there. His clothes are loud, but never square.
The man they turned to would become the key figure in both the Roses' meteoric rise and their downfall.
'Cause he's a dedicated follower of fashion.
Music promoter Gareth Evans' first foray into business had seen him take on and conquer the cutthroat world of hairdressing.
I went to have my hair cut at Vida Sassoon as a model, and he personally asked me to work for him. He said I looked the part.
Selects wiggies and stripes, 'cause he's a dedicated follower of fashion.
In all, I had 11 salons and 5 or 6 franchises under our name, Gareth and Colin Crimpers. I had 2 in Piccadilly, Manchester, Rusholme, Bolton, Stretford, Manchester, Burnley, etc.
Evans' reputation as the best blow-waver north of Watford led to an ever more impressive client list.
Whose hair did I cut? Martin Buchan, ex-Scotland and Manchester United captain, Peter Barnes of Manchester City, and their wives.
But Evans would eventually hang up his scissors to cash in on Manchester's very own rock and roll revolution. By the mid-80s, the Northwest had become a breeding ground for some of the hottest new talent about. Bands like the Happy Mondays, fronted by the legendary Shaun Ryder, were putting Manchester on the musical map.
It was a mishmash, total mishmash. You know, I mean, you had us, and then you had Spiral Carpets, Simply Red, Swing Out Sister. You know, so we was a proper melting pot of music.
There was a vibrant music scene in Manchester, and I wanted to be part of it.
Evans got his chance when the lease for local nightclub Ocean's 11 came up for grabs.
So I popped in, and the offices above, the landlord was there, and I did a deal to lease it off him.
Renaming the club the International, Evans quickly established it as the main rival to Factory's Hacienda.
International was like an old 70s nightclub, you know, a carpet on the floor. It was a great place for a gig. I mean, the sound was shit. But it was an old, you know, it was an old nightclub.
Look at this place. Look what they've done to it. The International. This was the famous International. They used to queue all the way down here. Way down there for R.E.M., Simply Red, all the bands.
It was a dump. You wipe your feet on the way out. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a place where you'd take your girlfriend on a first date.
Well, it's now Venus Foos or Food Centre. Fabulous times, great memories. I loved it.
But Evans wanted more. Although he'd soon added a second club to his name, Evans began to realise that the really big money to be made from music lay